Hey guys, welcome to the Jeff Dornik Podcast Live. We're going live for the first time over here on Facebook. And after some of today's announcements, it's more than likely going to be the last time that we're going to be going live here on Facebook. However, we've got a bunch of really exciting announcements for you guys. We've got some special surprise guests that are going to be coming on throughout this episode as well. But before we get started, because I know right now we're going live on Facebook, but for those of you guys that are going to be watching the recording on YouTube, make sure you guys go subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment, share your thoughts. If you have questions, anything along those lines, we always try to respond as much as we possibly can. But subscribing really helps us to just kind of be able to gauge where we're at, as well as allowing you to be notified when we post new videos. Right now what we're doing is we're posting all of our video versions of the podcast over on YouTube. We're also starting to post some clips. So if you guys haven't seen Schumann's latest clip from his podcast, go see that, because he basically takes on Justin Peters' statement on Kanye West and his salvation in a very epic fashion. So if you guys haven't seen that, make sure you guys head on over to YouTube, or even here on Facebook. I believe that it's posted here as well, and watch that. We're going to be posting more clips from different podcasts as well, so that way it will help you guys to be able to kind of get some of the highlights. And then, if it piques your interest, make sure you're watching the whole thing as well. And then if you're listening on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, any of the other platforms, make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, all that kind of stuff. Again, it really helps. So I know that one of the things, now I'm texting with one of our guests right now. Okay, cool. So basically what I wanted to do first is I wanted to start out with a quick recap from the Stand Against Marxism Conference that I spoke at a couple of weeks ago. If you guys want to see the entire conference, you can go over to standagainstmarxism.com. And I believe that it's $20 to be able to see the entire conference. It's totally worth it. There's so much information jam-packed. I feel like even I'm gonna have to watch it like 3 times just in order to get all of the information. But yeah, go over to standagainstmarxism.com. You can go sign up to get the actual video of the entire conference. There's everybody from Sam Jones, J.D. Hall, Janet Meffords, Steve Deace, Judd Saul, John Harris, E.W. Jackson, Trevor Loudon, Kerry Gordon. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And every single presentation was spot on, and every single presentation was great. So much information. Even Phil Haney was there talking about interfaith dialogue and how that's tying in with the social justice and the cultural Marxists and just everything. There's so much information there. So just make sure that you guys go over there, and make sure you guys sign up for that, because that's a great resource. One of the things that was really great about that conference was it was bringing together so many different people from different theological perspectives, and bringing everybody together with one common purpose, which was to confront Marxism and how they are infiltrating the church, because it's a very intentional thing. And what they're doing is they are infiltrating not only the Protestants, not only the Reform guys, but they've infiltrated into the Catholics. They've infiltrated into virtually every aspect of the visible Christian church. That's why confronting this is so important, and that's why I think to a certain degree we're going to have to unify with people of different theological perspectives, at least with the common purpose of confronting this monster of cultural Marxism, social justice, and just progressive ideology that's infiltrating the church. So that's why that conference was so amazing, was that it was bringing together, you had people like J.D. Hall from Pulpit and Pen. That's one extreme. Then you go to the other side. You've got Trevor Loudon, who's not even a Christian, but he's seeing this strategy of the Marxists infiltrating Christianity. So there's that as well. And then you've got somebody like Phil Haney, who's a national security expert, talking about, again, their strategy of trying to infiltrate into Christianity. Now, I believe that we've got one of our guests is coming in right now, so let me see if I can patch him in really quick. Hey, Sam.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going? I believe that you've come on live as a surprise guest. So we are live on Facebook right now.
Awesome. I would have done it sooner, but in all honesty, I sat there and looked at Skype for a little while and could not remember how to make a call. So,
Yeah, I believe I'm usually the one that's calling you, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, is this what it feels like to not be a millennial?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
It was rough.
yeah, it's rough for all of us young people. So, okay, so I was just talking about the Stand Against Marxism Conference, and kind of recapping that. And as most people know, like both you and I were speaking there and that sort of thing. What's your recap on SamCon, which was aptly named after you?
Yeah, well, I mean, my biggest recap is if the name doesn't draw you in, I mean, what else will? It was great. Uh, no, it was really a great conference, and um, the amazing thing was the wide range of speakers that was there. There were some incredible presentations. There were some people who took more of a preaching standpoint, and I really like what they did with the idea of they live streamed it and they kept that content going. Because I mean, it is it is getting a bunch of capitalists together, so definitely they want to make money on this. But they have a pay-per-view thing, and for $20, that's probably the most informative $20 that you can spend, in my opinion. Whether it's from guys like Steve Deace, who's on Blaze TV, or I think E.W. Jackson's on American Family Radio, and Janet Mefford is on Bot Radio. I mean, you've got three nationally syndicated radio hosts coming together, and some of the best speakers on this whole agenda. I think of Bobby Lopez. Man, his was incredible on how the LGBTQ community goes and infiltrates, and also how they recruit people. He talks about that with his testimony. That's something that's just, you have to listen to that.
Yeah, definitely. In like I was just saying, it's one of those things where I feel like even I, who was there and was speaking and that sort of thing, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that like 3 times in order to even gather like 10% of the information, because I feel like it was like the fire hose of them just like dropping so much information on all of us. It was just nuts.
Right. Yeah. I actually went in and started watching a couple of them here today. One of my favorite ones is Steve Deace. He goes over seven principles to fight back against postmodernism, and that is just excellent. Everybody needs to hear that. Then I went and heard myself just to go and look to see how bad I did, and there were only 3 rotten fruits that were thrown at me, so it wasn't my worst.
Yeah,
So
I mean, 4 it would have been like, okay, that's concerning, but 3 is like
right,
within that range, right?
right. So
Yeah.
uh,
So well, one of the things that like too that was fun about this was also getting to meet you in person, and then also just kind of like see everybody that we see, and either sometimes get into debates and Twitter fights, and sometimes we're just all getting along or whatever. But it's fun to actually meet everybody like in person.
yeah, definitely. Something I did not get to hear though. I heard lots of people say it, but just not to me. Nobody said that I was taller than what they thought I was going to be. But no, it was great to get to meet some of these people and gather together and just to connect. That was tremendous to be able to do that. And you know, the live stream is definitely worth the $20. So people need to go and check that out. But I'll be honest, if there is another event like this, you need to really make sure that you get out to it and get to it, because the in between sessions and the dinners afterwards and the lunches and things like that was really a great time to connect, to pick people's minds. And I mean, you guys like Phil Haney there, who is just one of the most brilliant guys on this subject matter, and Ray Moore was tremendous, incredible years of experience, and I mean Trevor Loudon. I don't know that there's really a more brilliant guy when it comes to Marxism, who just knows his stuff like that when it comes to Marxism within and without, outside of the church and within the church. Both of those, he's just tremendous on that. Just just encyclopedia on that stuff.
Yeah, well, and one of the other cool things too, I think, was that, I know, I think there was like 100 people there, 80 people, something in that range. But it's like you had all the speakers that were sitting and mingling with all the people that had signed up to come to the conference. So it wasn't like there was this separation. And so it was really easy for like everybody just to interact with essentially anybody. Every single person was accessible at that conference.
Right. Well, I think that speaks to the idea that the group that came together with Stand Against Marxism, we've rejected that celebrity pastor mentality. We've rejected that. You touched on that in your session there. And sorry, I just froze when I saw your cup because it said "Merry Christmas" on it.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Hey, we've got to start early, right?
That's right.
It's the Christmas season.
Yeah, people ask, when does Christmas music start in our house? I say December 26th. It never stops. So my wife is just really all about Christmas. But anyway, we've rejected the celebrity pastor mentality, and you could really see that in this conference. People were right there. And that's because the speakers don't view themselves as greater than the people that are listening. We view ourselves as just part of the team and working together. And I think that's really the mentality that it's going to take to overcome the Marxism that's in the church today and it really in the world today, as some of the stuff that's been being hit on through SouthGate and also the Schumann Show quite a bit here. The Marxism that's within the world and secular politics too.
Yeah. And for everybody who haven't watched the Schumann Show yet, I mean, that's like an hour of pure comedy genius on top of like so much information just being dropped on you. Yeah, that may have been one of the most epic intros to any podcast in the history of Christian podcasts.
Yeah, I've definitely watched that like 4 times, so that was awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the fun thing about doing this with the GK is that we're all coming from like different perspectives, I think, to a certain degree on certain issues, but also we all approach podcasting in our shows like completely different. Right. Like with me, I'm usually going to be more, like conversational and interviewing people and that sort of thing. You and Patrick are just like going back and forth, dropping like truth bombs like every which way. And then you've got Dustin that's like full on tackling, illegal immigration and the progressive left and the political ideologies. And then Schumann is just like taking on everything and just he's like our Steven Crowder pretty much.
Yeah, he's like a clean version of Steven Crowder.
Yes.
So I mean, I really do, I'll admit that's like a guilty pleasure of mine listening to Steven Crowder, but while listening to Crowder, sometimes I'm like going all of a sudden, like listening to him, like, what? Why did he just say that? And then I remember, oh yeah, this is a late night show. I forget about that because really he gives you more true news than what the news gives you today. Yeah. So, but Schumann is very much in that style, except he's a lot cleaner, and I don't know. I think give him a little bit of time. I think he's going to be funnier than Steven Crowder too. And that's not a knock on Steven Crowder. That's a praise to Schumann. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like, but like seriously, like his comedic timing, I think was great. Like throughout the thing, like you're sitting there and he's going on a rant on, what was he talking about? Like in the first episode with like environmental, progressive left and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden he's just dropping like, full on like comedy jokes. I'm like, I don't even know how you came up with that.
Yeah. How dare you?
No, that was a great intro.
That was great. Oh, yeah, Schumann's been just terrific on that, and that's been what's awesome being part of the GK is that it's a growing network, and I mean, wow, there's just all kinds of stuff that's coming out. I don't want to ruin any announcements or anything like that, so I won't keep going on that, but. I mean, if you guys aren't paying attention, checking into the GK daily, I don't know what you're doing because, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that's being published and put out, and you need to check it out.
Yeah, I mean, well, and it's been fun to, bringing in people from, again, different areas within Christianity. I mean, we've got Tom Littleton that's regularly posting on the website. We've got Brent Detweiler that's regularly posting. We've got all of us regular GK guys. You, me, Shu, Dustin, even Paige Rogers. We've got Bob Picard that's posted sometimes as well. Like that's been fun to kind of see the wide range of people that have been wanting to contribute as well. And then we've got like 8 podcasts now that we're carrying on the GK, which is crazy. And I think part of the announcements that we're going to be coming up with a little bit later is we're going to be adding like a ninth one as well. It's just like when I
know about that. Oh wait, maybe I did know about that.
Yeah, you knew about that.
Okay, I did know about that. Yeah.
So, but I mean, like when you think, like when I started conversations with Jeff, I didn't think it was going to end up like 9 podcasts all airing on the same network.
Yeah. How do you balance all those?
I don't know.
Your wife takes a big role in planning your day out for you. So
yes, exactly. She's definitely the planner. And then she's also great at all of the graphic design. So she puts all that stuff together, and I have no artistic bone in my body. So all of that stuff that you think maybe is me, not me.
I unfortunately can relate to that all too well. The no artistic bone in your body. So
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about a little bit first was the book that we've got coming out, Social Injustice.
There's a book?
There may be.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a surprise announcement. Nobody knows about it yet. So we've got Social Injustice. We've been putting it together. It's taken longer than anticipated because this is my first project like this, and I didn't realize all the different intricate things that go into publishing a book. It's pretty nuts.
Right.
So that's been interesting. But I know your chapter is on the gospel, and I know that your talk at SamCon was about how social justice plays in with the gospel and compromises that. If you can just do a quick recap of like where your chapter is on, and then we'll kind of get into some of like the announcements about the book and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. So my chapter's on social justice and the gospel, and I really go over. First looking at the true gospel, what is the true gospel? It is that Christ died for our sins, that he was buried, and that he rose again on the third day to provide a way of salvation for all who believe. And we look at that idea, and there's a specific good news, there's a specific bad news about it, and there's a specific emphasis that we're to have as Christians. And the specific good news is that Christ paid the penalty for our sins, and that he provided a way of salvation. The specific bad news is that we have sinned against God, and in doing so, we are the oppressors in the narrative of the gospel. Christ and God is the one who has been oppressed. And then, of course, the specific message is the gospel itself that we're to bring. Social justice goes and they pervert all of those things. They go and present a different bad news. The bad news they present is that we have been oppressed by society, whether that's because of our race and identity politics, or racial reparations that they're saying you need, or whether that's the idea of radical feminism and that idea that hey, you've been oppressed because of the gender that you were born or think you are. All kinds of stuff we could get into that, but they go and they make it so that we're the ones who have been oppressed instead of focusing in on how we've oppressed God. And then, of course, the good news is they bring out is that through this identity politics, through the social justice is what it is by going and gaining revenge, essentially. You can go and be repaid for the injustice that was done to you, or the perceived injustice that was done to you, which that isn't the good news of the gospel at all. The good news of the gospel is that we can have eternal life no matter what's happened to us on this earth, because Christ paid for our sins. They focus in then on these social perceived injustices, and I say that because you don't hear any of these social justice warriors going out and try to do what Ken Peters is doing. Shout out to him and his chapter on the real justice issue, and that is abortion. You don't see them going out there and trying to defend the unborn, which is a real justice issue. They go out and they try to attack perceived injustices mostly, and so they have the wrong emphasis. I also touch in on that in the chapter on how it's really a hero syndrome that they have. They're trying to fix a problem that they created through egalitarianism and an equality of outcome, not an equality of opportunity. I want to make sure I'm clear on that when I say egalitarianism. But basically, the big thing is that these people, it's not going to affect people who have already heard the real gospel so much. But really, what social justice is impacting and aiming its gun at is the people who are in our nurseries today, the children in our churches. They're really going and hitting on that and trying to to take their souls to hell. I know that sounds pretty crazy because most of the time these people probably don't necessarily intend that. That's not their.
Whoa! I just lost Sam. So now you are now you're live as well. Well, that's fun. So how's it going?
Pretty good. About yourself?
Not too bad. Let me see if I can add Sam back in because I totally just lost him. So really quick. Okay. So Sam was just talking about his chapter in the book, Social Injustice. So why don't I let you talk about your chapter and then I'll see if I can patch Sam back in.
Sure. So my part of the chapter has to deal with the supposed race culture that's going on, the white supremacy and everything like that that seems to be flooding, how that affects economics and everything. Supposedly, they want to make it a bigger issue than what it is, and that it's not really that big of a deal. And the statistics and stuff that they're running, they're trying to morph into their own sort of way to fit their narrative and everything that they're doing, just because they have nothing to stand on and everybody wants to be a victim in today's society and nobody's willing to work for what they want. So they'd rather just blame it on their social norms or anything else that might be in their life that's supposedly not their fault. So that's pretty much that part. We get into like some of the inner city stuff, look at some of the statistics and everything there. So yeah.
Very cool. And so just a minute ago, like Sam and I were talking about your new show, the Schumann Show, aptly named.
Yeah.
And I mean it's been quite entertaining, and I think we've got Sam back after Shu rudely interrupted you, but
Oh no, that's what I do.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, right as you're in the middle of like the gospel, all of a sudden Shu comes in, and it's like, okay, that's the end of that.
Well, I know where I rank on the GK leaderboard now. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just gonna really quickly have Shu give us a little recap of his brand new show that had me cracking up for the entire episode both times.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. I mean, pretty much free reign. Most of the stuff that comes up in my head just comes up in my head, and I don't really plan anything. I get on a tangent, and then all these weird, I guess, ideas pop into my head, and as I rant, I don't know. My wife looks at me strange all the time, and she's like, "Why do you even think this way?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It's the way I am."
Hey, you can't get wrong with that, and it makes for pure comedic genius for your show.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I can live with that.
Yeah. I mean, totally. So now I think the most epic part of your last intro was it Greta that comes in. That you had her clip come in. That was like the perfect close to that intro.
Man, yeah, that won't be the last time you see her. It'll be great. So, I mean, that whole clip is just, you know what? Props to Greta. I'm not the comedic genius. She is. I mean, that just, props to her. That whole clip is just gold. So, yeah. I guess when you got something good, you can't help but use it, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So, okay. So what I wanted to do really quickly was kind of give everybody a quick update on where we're at with social injustice, and then we'll get back to shooting the breeze here in a second. But so one of the things that I want to say, so we're basically the book right now is dealing with layout. We're just wrapping up dealing with the layout of the book, which is like me getting down to all of like the page numbers and the paragraphs and which line goes where and all that kind of stuff. So that's been interesting and crazy. So we're almost done with that. I believe it's going to be 275 pages, and we're trying to get it down to 272. So we're working on it. As soon as we get that done, we're going to be going to printing, which is supposed to take 2 weeks from what I heard. So we're almost there for the book to come out, and it's totally worth the wait because we've got 12 authors, 12 chapters, 12 topics. So much information, just like we were saying about SamCon. Like this, it's like you're gonna have to read it like 3 or 4 times just to make sure you're absorbing all of the information. And then the other thing as well is that we're gonna be closing pre-orders and pre-sales end of next week. So if you guys haven't, make sure you guys pre-order the book right now. You guys can use either the code SAM or the code SHOE, and you guys can get a free audiobook. And then we can always let you two duke it out for, which one is going to get you the most value in the audiobook. So, however you guys want to duke that out.
Well, I think since Dustin kind of bailed out on our on the podcast here, maybe they should use code Dustin.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, my whole section is just pictures because I went to public school, so
Hey,
you can't do much for audio.
Hey, Sam and I's homeschooling will rub off on you here pretty soon. So
Dude, I'm feeling it. Just the knowledge is just soaking in, man. Soaking in.
Yeah, definitely. But that I feel like this has been really interesting because for me, all of this is all of this has been a learning experience for me. But also too is that I've never written a book. I've never done anything. And all of a sudden now we're like publishing a book with 12 authors. And 3 of which are like right here on the show.
the best 3, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the 3 biggest draws.
Obviously.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I haven't really made a big deal about it publicly, but we have a new guy that's come on and he's writing the foreword to the book, and his name is Michael Massey. And some of you guys may know him, but he's a pretty prominent, guy. And what he does is he brings us, I feel like, so much credibility because of his background and his experience. I mean, he's won like so many awards, and been honored so many times just for a lot of the stands that he's taken. But he's a pastor. He also deals a lot within politics. You've probably seen him on any, cable news network being interviewed. And it's been really fun to kind of get to know him and talk to him as well. And the thing that I appreciate about him was that he told me before he wrote the foreword, and he goes, just so you know, I mean every single word that I say about this book and about the authors and the topic. And he made the point after he read the book of saying that social injustice is, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he was basically saying like this is like the perfect book to be coming out right now, and it's the best possible that's dealing with all of these topics, that's going in depth and that sort of thing. And that's not to pat any of us on the back, but as a group, I'm praying that God can use this in order to confront a lot of these errors that we're seeing infiltrate into the church, because I feel like something like this is really kind of what we need right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know. I view the church as kind of America to Europe. Like whatever's kind of going on in Europe, America tends to trend that way after a time. Well, it seems like in our society that whatever our society is doing seems to infiltrate into the church over a short period of time. It seems like eventually the church just falls into doing that same stuff. And I think the book is really good to make people rethink that, to not fall into the same trap over and over and over again.
Yeah, definitely, and I think too. I think part of what's really cool is that, I mean, we've got like the 3 of us, right? We've got Dustin, we've got Paige, we've got kind of our regular like GK crew, but then you throw in guys like Brandon House, guys like Andy Woods, Ken Peters, Mike Spalding, Tom Littleton, like all these guys, and they're like these guys know what they're talking about.
Yeah, they do.
It's good they do.
Yeah. Yeah, we're over here just throwing stuff out, but like they've been studying this. They've been studying this stuff for like decades for some of them.
Yeah, no, that's one thing I love about this book is that there's just some absolute brilliant people that are in writing this. I mean, what Ken Peters is doing right now with the Church at Planned Parenthood. If you guys haven't checked that out, you guys need to go and look that up. Jeff beat us to interviewing him first, but I'm pretty sure we were the second people to interview him. But since then, he's really gone on. But there's definitely a boost if you get interviewed by the GK, take you on to bigger and better things. But no, he's really standing up for Christ and doing an incredible thing. And Andy Woods, there probably isn't a better expert on eschatology than Andy Woods, I don't think, that's out there today. And the perspective, I'm really excited to read his chapter. That's one of the few I haven't read yet. Really excited to read his chapter on that.
Yeah, and the thing with Andy is that, again, I feel like going down the list of all the authors and all the contributors for this book, it's like everybody got exactly the right chapter for them. And with Andy, I mean, he brings in perfectly the tie-in between eschatology and the social justice movement, what their strategy is, if this plays out the way that they want, how this will play out into, end times theology. And how their goal, whether they know it or not, is essentially to establish the Antichrist kingdom here on earth. And, they think they're doing it for Christ, but really what they're doing is they're setting up this one world government. And so Andy does a brilliant job just like making his case and laying that out and that sort of thing. And so I'm really glad that he agreed to do this, because I mean that chapter is pretty epic.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I mean, you mentioned Thomas Littleton in there too, and Brandon House. I mean, those guys are they've really been cutting edge on this social justice stuff. And that's something that I think that this book has that really no other book or other project has. Talking about this is, I mean, Brandon's been worrying about social justice for about a decade, and Thomas Littleton, I think 5-6 years ago, really started going out and warning people in his apologetic messages and stuff on that, and it's just huge.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and so like for everybody too, like if you guys want to pre-order the book, make sure you guys go to socialinjusticebook.com. Get some pre-order. I think we've all agreed use the code Dustin, and that'll get you
right.
That'll get you the audiobook version of the book, and each one of us are going to be reading our own chapters, so you're going to be hearing it in our own voices. And I know we're probably going to be recording those here in the near future as well, as soon as I get that back from our editor and that sort of thing. And it'll be interesting to see everybody's tone and inflections and all that kind of stuff, because when you're reading it, you're essentially reading it in your own voice. So hearing it from somebody else will make it that much more, I think, you processing it better, but also it'll be kind of entertaining to see, okay, how is the author's interpretation of this?
I'm interested to hear how Shu's going to read his pictures.
Yeah, it's like this.
Well, I think what we're gonna have to do is, I think yours is gonna have to be video.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. So again, everybody go to socialinjusticebook.com. Use the code Dustin. You guys can pre-order through this week. I think we're going to cut it off probably Friday night, and then hopefully we'll be able to start mailing those out a couple weeks later. And really looking forward to getting this out. Now, the other cool thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to have the GK publishing as well. So we're going to be publishing more books down the road as well. We've got several in the line, and several more that I'm going to be talking to people about doing and that sort of thing as well. So make sure you guys just staying in touch about that sort of thing as well, because it's going to be fun to see what stuff we can put out as well. So now I kind of wanted to transition really quick as well to jump over to our other announcement, which is going to be our new membership and subscription plan called Plugged In. And the reason why we wanted to do this was because we wanted to be able to figure out a way to essentially, I don't want to turn this into like an organization where we're going to just start sending out fundraising letters and asking you guys to donate your estates and give us all of your money and that sort of thing. I wanted to turn this into, we provide a service or we provide a product. You pay us $10 or $20 or whatever it is, like a little bit. And then you guys are getting something in return, but that's also in turn helping us to be able to actually, do this and grow and, do this the right way. So we're going to be adding this membership program for the podcasting, and we're going to be doing conversations with Jeff and the Jeff Dornik podcast. Whenever we stream live, it's going to be streamed live for members of Plugged In. It's not going to be streamed live on Facebook. And then afterwards, we'll post the recordings on YouTube and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. I know like Shining Light Podcast and I know the Schumann Show, they pre-record their stuff. So we're going to release their podcasts a day early for members only. And then it'll go out probably the following day to everybody else on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So that we're going to be adding a lot more things in there as well, but that's kind of like what the other big announcement that we're going to be doing, and we're only charging like $10 a month or $100 for the year, and we're going to be adding a whole lot of perks, a whole lot of really cool things. But again, what we're trying to do is we're just trying to figure out the right way to provide you guys with more resources, and then also figure out how can we support this organization, this ministry, and do more for the kingdom. And unfortunately, that takes resources. So this is one way that you guys can help support us, but you guys are also getting something back in return. So I'm excited about that one. By the way, I just got a text message, and we may be adding in another guest. So I'm going to see if we can add in another person, because I don't think I've ever done a live stream with this many people. So this will definitely be interesting. Let's see if we can do this.
So Shu, what's your next episode going to be on?
Oh man, well, I got a couple of verses we're going to go through in regards to free grace that were brought up on Twitter in regards to the whole Kanye situation. You know how sick it makes me that I'm like 5 years ago, if I were like, hey, one day I'm going to defend Kanye West on a stream, and then I would have thrown up in my own mouth, because that's not, this just blows me away. But, it is what it is, so we'll touch on that just a little bit.
Hey, hold on, just 1 second. So we just brought on another guest. We got Dustin over here. How's it going, Dustin?
It's going great. How are you guys doing today?
Not too bad. So I hear you're on the road today.
Yeah, we're on the road today, heading to Fort Worth.
Nice. So we were just talking about the new plugged in program that we're going to be adding, subscription, all that kind of stuff. And I know even with like your show with Battlefront, we'll be like releasing episodes a day early, and that sort of thing, and then it'll go out to the public after that. But if you could briefly explain kind of like some of the more recent topics you've been dealing with, because it's been fascinating listening to your podcast.
Oh, well, thank you, Jeff. Recently, I've been dealing with the immigration warfare, which is a term that I actually got from Chris Pinto when he was describing the things that we're seeing today that have been going on for actually centuries. But he has described that the things when they go into countries and take them over, particularly the Marxists, that it's actually immigration warfare. And if you were to go on to the Center for Immigration Studies, there's a really good backgrounder on there by Cato, where they describe from the point forward on why immigration has been weaponized. And that's what we're seeing. It's being used by, I've linked it all the way down to the Jesuits. And if you guys would go on and start from the beginning, where we, on episode, it's part 1 of immigration warfare, you would be able to come and move we're on number 4 right now. But you move all the way forward as we're taking you through this and talking about everything. And then you will see that it's the Marxists, it's the Jesuits, it's everybody coming in to converge on the United States. Because what I've done is I've taken Europe and used that as an example of what we're going to be looking at, guys. And so what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it up here on number 5, and I'm working on it's going to be a special 2-hour episode. So we're going to start there with you guys. We're going to catch you back up a little bit, and then we're going to end it with a thing that you guys probably don't even see what's coming. It's really huge what I've found out and what I'm going to end that episode with, and I'm really looking forward to everybody who goes onto the GK Podcast Network and hits that show, and then they can see why we need to be ready here in the U.S. and why we need to be vigilant and why we need to be ready to take on what is happening before us, especially Christians. Because, guys, we are, in my opinion, the last beacon of free speech and freedom and Christian proclamation in the U.S. And if we do not make a stand now, we will have a problem. And it starts with every one of us, every one of you. So that's what we're talking about, and that's what we're going on with immigration warfare. And then we have more to come. There's a special thing that I'm going to be starting after that, which will be after this episode. And then it might be a series that might not but it looks like it's pretty huge, and doing some research for it right now. I'm really hoping that you guys tune in for that episode and be prepared for it, because part 5 is going to be really big and really thick. So be ready for it, folks.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that kind of ties in a bit with a lot of the things that Sam's been talking about too when it comes to pietism, because I feel like what we're seeing in the church right now is a call to not be involved in a lot of these things that Dustin's talking about, and even what Shu's talking about. And I know, Sam, I know that you've dealt with this issue a lot, dealing with MacArthur and a lot of other guys that do promote pietism. And so, if you can kind of touch on like why dealing with some of the stuff that like Dustin's talking about and Shu's talking about is important from like a biblical perspective for us as Christians as we're essentially living in the world.
Yeah. So, what I think the biggest thing is when we look at this idea of, obviously, just about anybody can see that our world is falling apart right now. Our Western civilization is falling apart right now. And the big issue is that if we present something to fix the solution, or bring a solution to fix the problem that we have, but it's rooted in a humanism and secular ideology, the issue is that we're just moving from the frying pan and into the fire. We're not actually bringing up a true solution. The Bible has all things that pertain to life and godliness. Of course, when it comes to politics and all these other things, the Bible speaks to these issues, and we need to go and find the solutions from Scripture to apply them if we're going to have any success at actually repelling evil. Because it's not just this idea of, some people did some bad things. It's the idea of this is an evil agenda. Specifically, a lot of this is working towards a one world government, which eventually will happen, of course, but it is our job to oppose that as Christians, to oppose the spirit of the Antichrist, and to present what God desires, and to present the Christian ethic. And that doesn't just apply to our own personal lives, but also to national and everybody else's life too. God designed us to live inside of His will.
Yeah, definitely. And so, I feel like right now, so we've got the 4 of us. I think maybe we've all kind of texted together, but I don't think we've actually all been on like a call or anything like that. So this is actually kind of fun.
This is a touching moment.
Yeah. So and I think kind of one of the fun things that we're going to be able to do with Plugged In is we're gonna be able to have we're gonna have an exclusive show called Connected, and what we're gonna do is it's gonna essentially be a roundtable, and you're probably gonna be having the 4 of us hopping on a roundtable maybe every month, every other month, and then we'll throw in like a special guest that's not one of us that will be fun, So we'll throw in a friend of the network, or just somebody that we find interesting or fascinating, and then we'll just sit around and talk about issues. And so but that will be exclusively for Plugged In members. So we'll obviously be letting you guys all know who the guests are going to be and some of the topics and that sort of thing, so that way you guys are aware. But definitely sign up for the membership, so that way you guys can get that roundtable, because I think it'll be fun to be having the 4 of us kind of randomly talking about whatever it is that pops into our heads.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
Especially with Shu on the show. You never know what's going to happen. So yeah. Now I think one of the other announcements that I was also going to say as well with Plugged In is we're going to be launching the GK store. That's going to be providing resources for everybody as well, and for members, you're going to get 20% off of anything that's in the store. So we're going to have resources from different authors that are friends of the network, and that we find are just good, solid resources. And then so we'll give you guys an exclusive code only for members. You guys are going to get discounts on that sort of thing as well. And then finally, one of the other cool things where you may see all 4 of us together, and probably some more people, is we're going to start doing online conferences. And the goal is to have the first one coming up in January. And I believe, as a sneak peek, we're going to be probably covering social justice and a lot of the topics we're talking about in social injustice. But yeah, we're gonna try to get together, some of us, bring in some other special guest speakers as well, And then again, plugged in members, you guys will get a significant discount. I think we're talking like 50% off of whatever the fee will be for that online conference. So again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide everybody value. And so that way, when you guys are supporting us, you guys are getting something in return, not just, hey, donate your estate to us when you die, so that way we can run our ministry. That's not how I want to do this. I want to be a capitalistic organization.
There you go. Capitalism for the win.
Exactly. That should be a mic drop right there, I think.
But if you do donate your estate when you die,
hey,
but that is true. You could give it to us.
Yeah. Hey, we're just not going to advertise it or send out letters every month saying, hey, you know what? When you die, think of us.
Yeah.
Not saying it's not going to be on the Schumann Show, but sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I might be looking for it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Dustin, because I know you don't have a ton of time, and I know you're on the road and that sort of thing, but I wanted to ask you as well if you could just briefly explain your chapter in the book, because I know we had Shu explain his. I know we had Sam explain his before Shu rudely interrupted him. And but I wanted to give Dustin you a quick chance just to do a quick recap, because I know you need to get on the road as well. So.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. My wife's going to start chewing me out in a minute. All right. Well, in our social injustice book, my chapter is on illegal immigration. Now, well, guys, what I'm doing in that chapter is I've outlined, as I've been doing in the immigration warfare series, which I've gone in a different perspective here. And what I've done with the immigration warfare chapter is we're talking about especially how it's affected the church, right? Because I've approached it from how they are using the social justice movement in order to allow the people to come in. And what I did is I put in some historical things in there to help you understand where they're coming from on allowing the illegal immigration to take part in our country, right? So in the book, if you, from beginning to end of the chapter, I'll take you from one point of the present, then we'll go into some past, and then we'll go into the present again, and then the future, and then at the end of the chapter, I give you reasoning on how to understand what you need to be saying to these people, and then I give you the reasoning and why we should be opposing this from the Bible, and I want you guys to know that this can be stopped, and that is what my chapter is about in the book, is using it, looking at illegal immigration from the perspective of social justice, how it was created, and how they are using it, what you can say, and what you can do to stop it.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like this book, it covers every single aspect of social justice and cultural Marxism, and I think that's a really important one that's being covered. So, Dustin, I know you need to get on the road, and I don't want your wife chewing you out on my behalf. So I'll let you go, and then we'll kind of wrap up and that sort of thing as well. So.
All right, I appreciate it, guys. Good to see you.
You too, and I'm sure we'll be back on something here pretty soon. So.
All right, man. Holler at me.
Okay, talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Okay, cool. So as we are wrapping up, I kind of wanted to remind everybody. So we've got socialinjusticebook.com. Use the code Dustin, and you'll get the audio book for free. And then for right now, you can go for the plugged in, and you guys can sign up, and that'll be a monthly subscription. You guys get exclusive access to podcasts ahead of time, my live streams, and that sort of thing. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. But again, I feel like with the three of us, and even with Dustin, making the four of us, I'm feeling like we're kind of all rising up a little bit. We've got more podcasts, we're getting more views, we're kind of growing as a network. But it's been fun to kind of see just the growth, not only in viewership, but then also just in general with adding on more shows. I mean, like Shu, you've got the brand new show, and I mean, it's, again, like I keep saying, it's quite entertaining.
Yeah, I hope so. I got some stuff in the works. We'll see what happens. We'll see how angry I can make people, I guess. So it'll be good.
Yeah,
sure. So.
Yeah, definitely. And so I think the key is going to be, so like moving forward is we've obviously, if you can't afford or you don't want to afford doing plugged in, you still get access to all the shows. It's just we're adding this added feature to provide you guys more access, more ways to be informed and get more resources and that sort of thing. If you guys choose to support us in that way, so that's going to be one of the main ways that we're going to be moving forward. I
would
think
say essentially we're not taking anything away. We're just giving you the opportunity to get more.
Exactly. So and again, one of the things that I want to reiterate is that we're doing this as capitalists. We're not doing this as socialists. Like, hey, donate, just give us your money and redistribution of wealth, and give us your money and just pass it on to us. It's like we're trying to give you a resource or a product or a service, and then you just give us a little bit. That's it, because you're getting something in return. It's like the American dream, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I thought Dustin was a socialist.
Now you bring that up after he's gone, right?
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, just wait.
Just kidding. He's a capitalist.
Yeah, just wait until we do our first roundtable podcast, and I'm just going to play that clip for him.
Yeah, he's going to come after me on that one. So.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's all of the announcements. We've got the book. We've got Michael Massey writing the foreword. We've got Shu's new quite entertaining podcast. We've got Plugged In. And then, go. So if you guys go to gatekeepersonline.com/plugged-in, shocker for the name. But if you go to that URL, you can check out all the perks. You can sign up and that sort of thing. And then starting next week, all of my podcasts will be streamed live for members only, and then posted afterwards. And then for Shining Light Podcast and the Schumann Show and the rest of them that are not recorded live, you guys will get access to those shows a day early. And then we'll just be adding more things coming on down the road. So it'll be fun.
And by the way, that'll be the 100th. The first one then will be the 100th episode of the Shining Light Podcast. So just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, we totally planned that one, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the way it worked.
Yeah,
so.
That's the reason why we did it at that time.
Exactly. That's pretty crazy that you've already done 100 episodes.
Yeah, I'm on 2.
Yeah, well, but I mean,
you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, but the cool thing I think about the Shining Light Podcast is that you guys cover a wide range of topics. You guys have had on some really good guests. And I know, Sam, you always make the comment that you just ask the questions, but you ask some really good questions.
Yeah, it's extremely.
It's because I don't know very much, so I ask a lot of questions. You're bound to get one good in there if you don't, keep asking them. So
yeah, at some point maybe we'll do like a highlight reel of like the Sam Jones best questions.
Yeah. If people went through and realized I never give answers, they'd be like, "Wait, why do I like this guy?" We should just call it the Patrick Wyatt podcast. So
hey,
but
we what we could do is we could make a shirt, and it's just gonna say, "I just ask questions."
That is for me right there.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think that's pretty much it. I think for this, I think it's gonna be fun. We're launching all these new things. We've got a bunch more plans coming on down the road, but I'm really looking forward to starting this roundtable podcast with Connected, and then trying to put together this online conference. I think it'll be fun. Again, getting us all in one place is always fun.
That's right.
Well, that makes 2 of you, I guess.
So
it's been great, you guys.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so I think that's pretty much it. So we'll kind of wrap it up, and then make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, all that kind of stuff. Pre-order the book while the pre-sale's still up, and then make sure you guys sign up for Plugged In, and it'll be a fun ride coming up, I think. So I wanted to thank Shu and Sam for coming on as well, and Dustin, who left us early, and Shu, you're gonna have to work on not interrupting Sam anymore when you come on the podcast.
No, I don't know. Depends on what he has to say.
I probably talked for like a good 2 minutes after that, realizing like, wait,
I was watching the Facebook stream and I was like, oh, he's probably still talking.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's funny? So Sam, that's like the one time you're given an answer and not asking the question, and Shu comes in and ruins it all.
I just ask questions.
So yeah. Okay, so for everybody, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. The recording for this will be posted on YouTube and SoundCloud, iTunes, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just make sure you guys are checking in. Send us questions if you guys have ideas for topics for shows or anything along those lines. Don't hesitate to email us. You can always email me, gatekeepersonline@gmail.com. Follow Shu on Twitter, Sam on Twitter. Check out the latest blogs and all that kind of stuff at gatekeepersonline.com. And thanks for tuning in, and we shall see you guys next time.